What's up, fight fans, and welcome back to another KJ MMA show. And we have a banger of a card for you that we're going to discuss here today. UFC 281 goes down this Saturday from the world's most famous arena, Madison Square Garden in New York. And Garrett, this main event is just, it has all of us just on the edge of our seats waiting to see what's going to happen, because Alex Pereira has, he's beaten Izzy twice in kickboxing. He finished him once, knocked him out cold. But this is a different sport. This isn't kickboxing. This is mixed martial arts. And Adesanya, one of the best pound for pound fighters for quite some time now. And, he's a moderate favorite, right? Minus 220 favorite. Pereira is a plus 185 dog coming in here. And keep this in mind, Pereira, he's only had three fights in the UFC, and here he is in a title fight with Israel Adesanya on such a huge card. Does he have a chance? Of course he has a chance to with the power that he has a chance to knock anybody out. But I feel like that's his only course to victory here. I don't think he's going to be able to outpoint Adesanya to a win. What do you see happening here? I'll let you know what I think afterwards, but break this one down for me from the fight analyst perspective.
Oh, man, I'm looking forward to it. I've been eyeing this matchup for a while. I knew about Pereira for quite some time now. I've been watching him, on the regional scene on his come up. I've watched his kickboxing matches over in Glory Kickboxing. And he's one of the most dangerous strikers Izzy will ever face in MMA, point blank. He's beaten him twice, albeit Izzy was beating him for every moment of the first fight, and he was beating him every moment of the second fight before the knockout. Izzy was robbed in the first fight. There's no possible way he should have lost that. I've watched the entire thing back numerous times. Pereira had a ton of troubles trying to find Izzy. He was hitting and missing, and yes, he landed some good shots, but Izzy was able to roll with the punches, and he took all of his best shots and just kept coming forward, landing more, throwing more volume, being more accurate. And then in the second fight, it was close to Izzy knocking him out. It was a standing 8 count, I believe, in the third round. And after that, once Izzy was kind of trying to go for the kill, which is not his MO, he doesn't really go for the kill. He just lets the kill come to him. And he just overexerted himself. He gassed himself out and left an opening where, when you're tired and you get hit by Pereira, you're going to sleep. It doesn't matter who you are. He's got that powerful jumping left hook. He's got whipping body kicks, head kicks, nasty calf kicks. But he's at a massive speed disadvantage. He's at a massive volume disadvantage. And somehow, some way, I feel like we're going to see Pereira shoot in this fight. He's going to make this an MMA fight. You don't just train with Glover Teixeira and not utilize any type of grappling, especially against another high-level striker like Izzy. But I don't expect that to really make a difference because, Izzy's faced high-level grapplers already in his time. Much better grapplers than Pereira ever be in, 3-4 years of MMA training. I just don't see it. When it comes down to this matchup, I think it's going to be more like the first kickboxing match. We're going to see it's going to be competitive, obviously. We're going to see Pereira come forward. He's going to be pressing the action, but I feel like Izzy's just he knows what's coming. Pereira hasn't changed at all since their last 2 fights. He's the same exact fighter, that was swinging and missing on almost every one of his punches when he's headhunting. And I feel he's got 10 minutes to get it done. Once it gets into the third round, that's when Izzy's going to absolutely take over. His volume, his cardio, his precision striking, he's going to drown Pereira as the fight goes on. It's going to be dicey in the beginning. He's going to land some heavy shots, possibly get a knockdown, but I feel Izzy is going to be able to weather the early storm, and he's just going to put it on him late. He possibly could end him, because he almost ended him in their second kickboxing match. But ultimately, I think he's just going to fight smart, like he's done in the past, and outpoint him for a decision win. I know it's not going to be maybe as impressive as people want it to be, but, he shouldn't have to be. He's going against one of the most dangerous strikers, probably arguably ever at 185 pounds. Anybody that would face Izzy at this point, no one is a better striker than Pereira. No one's more dangerous than Pereira. And the only reason why Pereira is even remotely at, at the top right now of the division is because Izzy completely.
There's no one left.
Right.
There's nobody left.
He mopped the floor with everybody else. Who is left? There's nobody left. So they're like, might as well. I mean, they have some type of, they have that backstory. They have the history. Perez beating him both times. That's the only reason. If Izzy wasn't in this position, if Izzy wasn't the champion, Perez would be at the back of the line right now. He wouldn't even be probably in the top 15. They wouldn't even be pushing him. So ultimately, I got Izzy winning this. He's finally getting his one back. And, keep the winning streak going, keeping the legacy going. I really like him here. I got him at minus 180 early in the week. So, steadily throughout the week, people are starting to kind of take notice and side with Izzy here.
I like Izzy too. I think he's going to win. But here's my question. When you lose to somebody twice in the past, even if it is, albeit a different sport to some degree, right? Is that going to draw Adesanya into fighting emotional? Now, I don't think that's going to be the case because we've seen him. He's very smart. He's very safe. He's calculated. And I think that he understands, especially in the first 2 rounds, that, Pereira is very dangerous. So I think we're going to see Adesanya, do what you said, be careful, be calculated early on, and then really pick up steam, maybe get a finish late. But I'm intrigued by this because, Adesanya, I mean, look, let's just call it like it is. The guy's got an ego, and rightfully so. I mean, he's got everything. He's one of the best fighters on planet Earth. He's the longtime champ. He's well-spoken. He's a good-looking guy. He's got everything that you could ask for. But there's this guy, Alex Pereira, that has beaten him twice. That has to eat at him. So I'm just curious to see what kind of a fighter from a mental aspect we're going to see from Adesanya here. Is he going to stay like a George St. Pierre and just fight the smart fight to make sure he gets his hand raised? Or is he going to get dragged into a firefight, which could really put him in danger and give Pereira the chance for a big upset? But I do like Adesanya here. I think he gets the job done. He's the champion for a reason. The only guy, in my humble opinion, that I feel can potentially beat him in the 185 division right now, right this moment, is the former champion, Robert Whittaker. He had that really close fight with him the second time around. I'd love to see a trilogy, but yeah, give me Izzy. You're with me too here. I think that's the safe play. Let's move to the co-main event. Carla Esparza, Weili Zhang. The champion is a huge underdog here. Carla Esparza, the Cookie Monster, plus 275. Weili Zhang, minus 325. And we know just how powerful Zhang is and her striking. I mean, do you see that video of her picking up Francis Ngannou above her head? I mean, she's got some serious power for this weight class. And I think the line is probably accurate for Zhang to win. I expect her to win, but Carla Esparza is one of those fighters that it just seems like she's always counted out. Nobody expected her to reclaim the throne, and here she is with the belt around her waist. And I think you did, though, right? Maybe you did, but not me. I didn't expect that. I don't expect her to beat Zhang here.
No.
I like Weili to win. What do you think about this one?
Yeah, I really don't want to get too in depth with this. I just think it's a horrible matchup for Carla Esparza. I think she has a lot of skills, and I think she's still one of the best at the division. But this is arguably the absolute worst, fight for her in the division. I think Zhang is better than her in every facet of the game: striking, grappling, even wrestling. I mean, she's a lot stronger than her. She's a lot more powerful than her. She's got great cardio. She throws a ton of output. She's got a good takedown defense. I don't think Carla's going to be able to just take her down and, control her there. She's training over at Fight Ready with Henry Cejudo, Olympic silver medalist, and Mark Madsen, and, Kelvin Gastelum. Tons of great, grapplers there to get ready for someone like Carla Esparza. I think it's going to be a bad fight for her. I mean, no one really wants her to win, unfortunately. Everyone was booing her at the presser. So it is what it is. I think Zhang's going to be I think she's going to be a champion that a lot of people are going to be happy about. A lot of people are going to want to see her fight and continue to fight after that. I think she's going to put on a great show here, and then we'll see what happens after that. But I think she's the most dominant. She's going to be one of the most dominant champions in shortweight history once she reclaims the belt.
Yeah, she's a monster. I think it's a slam dunk that she goes in and reclaims the belt here at UFC 281. Now, this next fight is one that people might be looking forward to more than any other on the card, and that's saying a lot because we just talked about two title fights that are at the top of this great event. But Dustin Poirier and Michael Chandler in what seems to be a little bit of a grudge match. These two got into it at a UFC event fairly recently, went back and forth, and here we are. Poirier minus 230 favorite, Chandler a plus 195 dog. My question for you, Garrett, is this. Michael Chandler, he's kind of adopted this persona of, I'm not here for a long time. I'm here for a good time. I want to go in there and I just want to give the fans a show. That's been kind of like his mentality since he's come over to the UFC. He hasn't necessarily fought the smartest. I mean, he's got some unbelievable wrestling chops. We saw it in Bellator for years. And I feel like if he tried to utilize that a little bit more, and even some of his previous fights, maybe he would have a win or two more under his belt in his UFC tenure thus far. But he hasn't been fighting like that. So if he just comes out looking for blood, looking to knock Poirier out, what are we going to see here? And ultimately, what's the smart play from a betting aspect?
I'm expecting him to mix it up here. I think he knows he needs to mix it up. And I think he knows that Poirier's takedown defense isn't as good as Gaethje's, isn't as good as Gaethje's scrambling abilities to get back to the feet. We've seen Poirier get taken down and controlled in the past. And I think Chandler is arguably one of the best wrestlers next to, Khabib that he's pretty much faced in his career. And I think, obviously Chandler is very dangerous on the feet. I think he packs more power than Dustin. He's definitely going to have the speed advantage as well. And he's going to be the one that's going to be more, more active early on. We're also talking about Dustin's coming off numerous, main event spots. So he's already been accustomed to going 25 minutes. So I'm expecting Dustin to be flat coming out of the gate, because he doesn't really know that he hasn't been in a 3-round fight yet. So it's pretty much a sprint. It's not a marathon anymore. So I feel Chandler is accustomed to 3 rounds at this point, and I feel she's the one that's going to be more active early on. So if you're gonna bet Dustin, I would wait until after round 1, where I feel like you'll get a better price. But ultimately, if Chandler hits plus 200, I feel like I kind of have to bet him in that spot. I feel like it's going to be a close fight on the feet. Either one of these guys can get a knockout. But also, there's another thing that Chandler has the wrestling to really make this a little bit more lopsided into his favor if he chooses to utilize it. So I'm waiting for that sweet spot. If it doesn't hit it, I probably will kind of just wait and just kind of watch as the fight goes on and see if I get a nice little live spot. But yeah, plus 200, I would take a stab there on Chandler.
Chandler has the power. Poirier has the technique.
Yep.
I'm staying the hell away from this from a betting aspect. I think it can go really any way. This could be absolute fireworks for as long as it lasts. And I don't know. I'm just really intrigued because this is such an important fight for the winner as far as jockeying for, who gets to lose to the champion Makhachev maybe next. So so we'll see. But either way, this fight is for the fans. It's going to be an absolute barn burner. Now, the next fight we're going to talk about is Frankie Edgar and Chris Gutierrez. This is Frankie's last fight. He's going to be retiring. Plus 200 underdog. Gutierrez minus 235 favorite. Look, I think the whole world wants to see Frankie go out on a win. Does he get it done?
I don't know, man. That's tough. I know he's going to utilize his wrestling as he's done in the past. He looked good against Cheeto until he didn't. He's been knocked down in each of his last 2 fights. His chin is definitely not there. And now he's got to go against Gutierrez, who's looked phenomenal as of late. He's surging at the right time. He's getting a big name, even though albeit at the tail end of his career. And Frankie's got to go and take massive amounts of calf kick damage at his age. I don't know if he could take all that calf kicking damage. You're talking about the best calf kicker in the bantamweight division. This dude has nasty calf kicks. Frankie Edgar's probably going to be limping halfway through round 1. on that leg, and he needs that leg in order to really blast those double legs and get in and take him to the mat. Ultimately, I got Gutierrez probably getting the finish inside 2 rounds. And did you notice that Frankie Edgar, now at this stage of his career and the shaved head, he kind of looks like Joe Pesci?
Well, you go back to Goodfellas and Joe Pesci. That was the New York, New Jersey area. So I can see that a little bit. But nice analogy there. Well, one thing's for certain: Frankie Edgar's a legend. He's given us so many phenomenal fights, so many good memories. So definitely make sure you tune in to see what his last fight will look like. And it's going to be sad not being able to see the answer run to the octagon. While Biggie is bumping in the background. But let's move to our next fight. Daniel Hooker, Claudio Puelles. Puelles, a plus 122 dog. Hooker, a minus 142 favorite. Garrett, I had the pleasure to interview Claudio before this fight, and he's very confident. He feels like he's one of the elite. Not many people believe that, but he believes it. He knows it, and he told me he thinks he's going to get Hooker out of there before this fight, goes to the judges. Do you think he does? I know it would be a small upset as far as the betting odds go, but what do you think we're going to see here in this bout?
He's got to come in with confidence. I mean, Hooker is by far the best opponent he's faced by a country mile. You're going from 2022 Clay Guida to Dan Hooker. I mean, that's a pretty massive step up in competition. I really haven't been too impressed with Puelles because he hasn't beaten anyone good. He had to go to a decision where he laid on Jordan Levitt for 15 minutes, and now he's going against by far the best fighter he's faced, the best striker he's faced, the best finisher he's faced thus far in his career. It's going to be interesting to see what, tricks he pulls out of his hat to get it done, because Hooker is not easy feat. I mean, he's only been dominated on the mat by one man at 155 pounds, and that's Islam Makhachev with 0 training camp. He had no one in his camp. He didn't even have anybody in his corner. That was during the whole COVID situation between 2020 and 2021. It was pretty much like a limbo for him. He's taking short notice fights that he shouldn't have been taking. I'm expecting a brand new Hooker here. Hooker has not, he's only lost to elite. He's never lost to non-elite, fighters in the past as of late. Only elite fighters has he's lost to. Chandler, Dustin Poirier, and Dustin Poirier he went 25-minute war with. Might I add, Islam Makhachev. I can't remember the other loss, but I think people are quick to write him off. I'm expecting him to defend the takedowns and absolutely batter Puelles on the feet. I don't rate Puelles' striking all that much. He utilizes kicks very well, but that's pretty much it. He wants to get in and utilize his grappling and take it to the mat, because on the feet, he's at a pretty massive disadvantage. We'll see. I'd rather side with the guy that's been there, done that, instead of taking the guy that's literally beaten a bunch of nobodies and now is taking a massive leap up the ladder. I think this is a good get right spot for Hooker.
All right. Well, interesting bout there. Let's move to Brad Riddell, Renato Moicano. Riddell plus 103 dog, Moicano minus 120 favorite. What do you see here in this one?
I'm keeping it going with the CKB boys. I'm taking Brad Riddell at plus money here. I know he hasn't looked good as of late, back-to-back losses, but he's facing pretty elite competition. Jalen Turner, and I think before that was. Oh man, I can't believe I'm drawing a blank, but his former, training partner, but Rafael Fiziev. There we go. I got it. So yeah, I mean, no fault in those. Turner's absolutely massive for the division. He's got insane power, and he jumped on his neck after, obliterating his body. Getting knocked out by Fiziev is no small feat there either. He's a nasty striker who also knocked out Moicano. Moicano is still brittle on the feet. He's been knocked out. He's been knocked out 155. He's been knocked out 145. I feel like if Moicano wants to stand and bang, he's going to lose his fight. So he's going to have to get it to the ground, where I know he's a jiu-jitsu black belt and he could possibly get the win there. But Brad Riddell has shown the abilities to get back to his feet. He's shown that he could defend submissions if he's not hurt, like in the Jalen Turner fight. And I think Riddell eventually ends Moicano. We've had Riddell. He split camp in Bang Tao in Thailand, as half there and then half with City Kickboxing. I think he got a lot of good work in. I think we're gonna see the better version of him this time out. And yeah, give me him at plus money.
All right, I'm with that. I actually agree with you. Dominic Reyes, Ryan Spann, Reyes minus 220 favorite, Spann plus 185 dog. Let's not forget Dominic Reyes beat John Jones. I don't care what the judges said. Reyes won that fight. This guy's legit. He's been out for a little while. Now he's training with Glover Teixeira, Alex Pereira, and all those monsters up there in Connecticut, right around my neck of the woods. I love Dominic Reyes in this fight. I think we're going to see vintage Reyes. He gets back towards maybe a title fight around the corner. What are you thinking?
I would hope so. I mean, in theory, he should definitely win this fight. I don't rate Ryan Spann a whole lot. He's very brittle. He gets hit a ton. He just gets finished like it's nobody's business. If Reyes is on top of his game, or he's even an ounce of what he was prior, to his losses or that losing streak, he should get the job done. I just think he's the better overall fighter in all aspects of the game. I just don't like betting on a guy that's, on the losing streak, coming off a long layoff.
You think about who he lost to, though, too. I mean, he lost to Yuri Prohaska and Jan Blachowicz and John Jones. So a 2-fight losing streak for those guys, one of which a lot of people feel like he beat John Jones. So I'm going to cut him some slack. I think, he took some time off, reassessed, new camp. We're going to see vintage Dominic Reyes here.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I definitely don't want a Ryan Spann to win. Let's be honest. The dude is he's got no personality. I don't like listening to his interviews or anything like that. So I'm hoping for a Dominic Reyes vintage performance here.
All right, Aaron Blanchfield, Molly McCann. I don't think we have to spend too much time on this one. Blanchfield's a massive favorite, minus 365. Molly McCann plus 290. Any chance for an upset here, or is this Aaron Blanchfield to the bank?
I don't know, man. I definitely would never play Aaron Blanchfield on minus 360, especially how bad she kind of looked in her last fight. And Molly McCann's got a ton of momentum on her side. Not saying that's gonna help her or not, but man, at that line, it's definitely a pass. But if I had to bet, I would have to side with Molly McCann just based on those odds. You bet a little to win a lot instead of betting a lot to hope to win a little.
I definitely feel like the odds should be closer, but I think Blanchfield's athleticism is going to be the difference here. I feel like she's just going to be too athletic, too dynamic for Molly McCann. Andre Petroski, Wellington Turman, really interesting bout here. Petroski with that massive sub over Nick Maximoff his last time off. He's a minus 200 favorite. Turman, another guy that trains with Glover and Pereira, plus 170 dog. What do you see in this one?
Man, that's tough. I definitely cannot take Petroski at that line. I think it's going to be fairly close. They're both good grapplers. Turman's a jiu-jitsu black belt in his own right. I don't think he's going to be able to really utilize his wrestling because Petroski is a very good wrestler. I think he's just a bit better on the feet than Petroski. And we're going to see a lot of grappling and a lot of scrambling exchanges. So it's going to be interesting because Turman could definitely catch him in something, vice versa. Petroski could definitely catch Turman in something. I do like the under in this fight, but ultimately I will pass on the side, but I will take the under.
All right, Matt Frivola, Atman Azatar, Frivola plus 118 dog, Atman minus 138 favorite. Really interesting bout, man. Frivola looked pretty damn good his last time out. What do you see in this one?
It really depends what Frivola is going to come and do. If he comes in, fights like he did in his last fight, he's probably going to get knocked out against Atman. If he comes in fights smart, utilizes, some movement early on, make Atman work on the feet, who's pretty much going to plot forward, trying to land a heavy haymaker and put your lights out, which he could do against anybody. He's 13-0. But the thing is, he hasn't fought in a while. He's fought pretty bad competition in the UFC. And this is a spot where I would kind of wait and see if we get out of round one. If we get out of round one, you live bet Frivola for sure. I feel Atman's abilities to get a finish diminish drastically after round one. So I'm waiting to see if Frivola survives the first 5 minutes. I'm going to take a bet on Frivola.
All right. Carolina Kovacevic, Silvana Gomez Juarez. This is basically a pick on minus 102 for Juarez. Kovacevic minus 118. I'm just staying away from this one.
Yeah, fuck out. I have no fucking idea who wins this fight. Warriors looked good in the last fight. Kovacevic got a dub in the last fight. I don't want to bet on either one of these two. I don't trust either one of these two with my money. This is a go make a sandwich, go to the bathroom, take a dog for a walk, whatever you want to do for this. Anywhere from 1 second to 15 minutes. Do what you got to do during this fight and just keep it moving.
Yeah. Michael Trezano, Sung Woo Choi, Choi minus 163 favorite. The former tough winner, Trezano plus 143 dog. Does the dog get it done, or is Sung Woo Choi getting his name in the win column here?
Death, taxes, and fade Michael Trezano. That is my MO. He's just one of those fighters I have to fade. I didn't in majority of his fights. I won the last 2 times fading him, and I'm going to keep it going. I'm fading him here. I think Choi is definitely the more powerful striker of the two. I know Trezano definitely has the better movement, but it comes down to whether or not he's going to actually throw. If Trezano throws, he could probably outpoint Choi, who's pretty much just a 1-2 type of fighter. But if he just kind of is gun shy in there, like he has been in his last 2 fights, I think Choi could probably put it on him and possibly get him out of there. Choi's got some serious power. I know he's lost his last 2, but granted, I think it was against better competition than Trezano. Trezano's going to give Choi the fight that he wants, which is pretty much stand there and strike. So I'm going to have to side with Choi on this one.
Julio Arce and Montel Jackson. Arce plus 170, Jackson minus 200. I love this fight. I love the fact that it's at the top of the card because both of these guys are so good. And Jackson with his length, he's just so long for the division. And Arce with his boxing acumen and just how precise he is and how he can get on the inside. I love this fight. I think I'm staying away from it from a betting aspect because I feel like it can go either way. And I actually think that the odds should be a lot closer. So if you're looking for a dog to bet on here, I mean, you can win a little money betting on Arce plus 170.
Yeah, I already placed my bet on RSA at plus 175. I think it's a steal of a price. I think like you said, lines definitely should have been a lot closer. I know Montel Jackson, he's got those physical gifts that you don't have at 135. He's absolutely massive. He's got power. He's got long reach. He's got plus wrestling and grappling abilities, but he's just not active. He doesn't train to have a great camp either. We don't see much of him really training at all over social media. We see him, in music videos. We see him at the club. We see him doing other things other than training. So it's really interesting to see how much involved he has been in his fighting game as of late. I'm taking the guy that's been more active. I'm taking the guy that's really been putting in the work. He's been facing the better competition, who's fought at 145, fought at 135. He's fought elite competition. I'm going to take Arce here at plus money.
All right. Carlos Ulberg and Nick Negumereanu. Ulberg minus 130. Nick is plus 110 here. Do you feel like Negumereanu is going to be able to pull the small upset, or is Carlos Ulberg the safe play?
I am rolling with the CKB boys. City kickboxing all the way up and down this fight card. I got them all. I got Brad Riddell, I got Carlos Ulberg, I got Dan Hooker, and I got Israel Adesanya. All 4 of them. I think they all get it done. Ulberg, yes, he had a blip in his career when he fought Kennedy Nzechukwu. No fault there. He's beating the dog shit out of him, and he blew his load way too early. It is what it is. He learned from it. He was more tentative in his next fight, and then he absolutely blasted Tefan Nchukwi after that. So I think he's starting to gain momentum here. And Nick Negumereanu he's very good. I mean, he's super tough. He's got plus wrestling. He showed that in his last fight that he's got good cardio. It's going to come down to Ulberg defending takedowns because on the feet, it's a no contest. Ulberg will beat the piss out of Nick Negumereanu on the feet. Negumereanu has been outstruck by almost every single fighter that he's faced in the UFC on the feet, and this is going to be no different. So he's going to live and die by the takedowns. If he doesn't get the takedown, he's probably getting knocked out inside 2 rounds. So give me Carlos Ulberg here.
All right, I love it. And that does it. All 14 fights in just under 30 minutes for you. Make sure that you tune into UFC 281 this Saturday and go to the Vegas Odds YouTube channel and subscribe. For Garrett, I'm Ryan. We will see you guys next week.